So welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today Stefan Verstappen is back, and our subject will be apathy and ignorance. Yeah, so remember when we did the interview about building survival communities? Hmm?
Yes.
So sometimes you get reactions that go a little bit like this. Oh, you're still in fear mode. Ha 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 ha. That is so yesterday. And your frequency is too low. That is so tragic that you are so stupid. Do you care to comment, Stefan?
I've never gotten an email that said that to me, that I'm in fear mode. Um, you got that?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what to say about that. Again, just before the show started, I was telling Judith that, one of the things I've been working on for many, many years, I'm trying to understand the evil. Where does it all come from? And a lot of, one of the major factors of what I think is evil is ego. Now,
Mhm.
not the ego that Freud talks about, because Freud was a complete fraud. He was a sexual pervert. He wanted to do his mother. That's why, well, everybody wants to do their mother. That's normal. No, no, Freud, Sigmund. But people understand the term ego differently than what he originally intended. So we all understand it's this kind of thing. I understand it better from what Gurdjieff wrote, and he called it false personality. And this is an artificial construction. It's like a software program, right? So currently I'm running Stefan 2.0,
Mhm.
Stefan the Elder, Stefan the Wiser 2.0. But it's a software program, but it's a software program made up of lies and artificiality. And the way it happens is Gurdjieff described that the world has two types of influences, A and B. And A is everything you see on TV. It's what you get in the church. It's what the schools teach you. It's what the advertising. And it's just basically garbage. That's all it is. It's entertainment and lots and lots of lies. And then influence B is information that comes from people that are on a higher level, real intellectuals, real artists, real musicians, real thinkers that have, and what influence B is mostly more is truth. But if you don't get influence B, then you're left with just the garbage, right? So try to construct a personality out of TikTok, YouTube, TV, MSNBC. Now you throw that all into a big pot and you construct a personality from that. That's what's happened. And when you look at modern media, all it does is promote narcissism, right? It's also narcissistic. It makes me sick. All these people are, they got this smug face. It's like they just saved the planet from doom, and and it's disgusting. But that's what these people put their create their personality out of, and it's that personality that I would call ego. Then, right?
Mhm.
And this ego thing says, I'm smarter than you. I know more than you. I'm wiser than you. I'm holier than you. I'm more virtuous than you. Everybody should be more like me because I'm still one. And that's the ego I'm talking about. Me, me, me. Look at me. Aren't I special? You've got to love me. And if you don't love me, you're evil. I have to kill you.
Yeah, and I would say that, if you're aware that disaster can strike and you take precautions and you prepare for that. That does not mean that you are constantly in a fear mode. That does not, I'm not sitting in the corner of the room and I'm totally shivering and hoping that the next day will run smoothly. That is not the case. But let's say a simple example. Let's say we have an EMP from the sun. Yeah, that is very indiscriminate. And the sun doesn't care how high your frequency is. If you are in that pathway, your electricity is going down as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will not be the only one where electricity is still running because your frequency is so high. The sun doesn't give a shit.
Exactly. You know, it's fate, and it's what keeps you humble.
Yeah.
You know, I know guys that say, "Oh, I'm not worried about the financial collapse. I own a house and I got money in the bank." That's okay. Good luck. Good luck with that. Have you ever heard of communists? Take your house. I'm going to take the money in your bank. Now what? Smart ass. I mean, it's still good to, you know, have a community and stockpile some food and have some plans. And listen, I was a Boy Scout. The motto of the Boy Scouts is be prepared. And that's what we trained in the Boy Scouts, you know, how to build a fire, how to go camping, set up a tent. It's how to be prepared. And to be prepared, well, in case there's an earthquake, in case there's a hurricane, in case there's a fire, a flood, a snowstorm, there's nothing to be paranoid about or be scared or to have a low frequency. That's got nothing to do with it. It's got to do with life. Life is a crapshoot. You know, you don't know what you're going to get. Anything can happen at any time. And if you can be prepared for some of it, well, good for you because it improves your chances of survival. I can't believe you got such an email. What an idiots. What an idiots. Like with me, I never respond to people like that. I immediately block them. I don't write back.
Mm.
Why dare you write me? No, no, I don't care. I don't care. I just block them, unfriended, go away. And no, because who's got time for that crap? You know, the world is a dangerous place, and there's a lot of things we got to be doing. And I don't have time for this petty bullshit. Nobody does. I don't know how they,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And funny enough, these types, I know they think they are so enlightened and so much more switched on than you that is thinking about preparation. But if the shit hits the fan, they're the first to knock at your door.
Sure. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, you're right about that, Judith.
Yeah.
The first ones they'll be knocking at your door. Oh, I don't have any food. Yeah, well, maybe it's your low frequency. Raise your.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm not here. You can believe what you want. Yeah. I don't care.
I don't.
But I would say if you're that arrogant that you think anybody who is taking precautions is a nut job,
Yeah,
then if disaster strikes, please stay with your high frequency in your own apartment and don't come knocking.
yeah. And it's not if, it's when, because disaster always strikes. Nobody goes through life without a disaster. That never happens. It's always a possibility at any moment of any day. So, and bad things happen all the time, all over the world. So, it's not, you know, if something happens, it's when it happens. And then again, yeah. Good luck with your frequency. Maybe some crystals would help.
Yeah, and the crystal certainly can provide food and water.
Yep, magic crystals. It's a lot. All that is magical thinking too. You know, it's not grounded in reality. I really have a problem with people and their magical thinking. I blame religion myself.
Mm.
Religion, instills that uh, what do you call it? Cognitive dissonance in people, right? Oh, well, he walks on the water and he cures the blind and he listens to everything you think. but but you live in a world with computers and electric cars, and how do those two ideas all fit in your head without some contradiction? It's cognitive dissonance. I have a theory that the more you believe in lies, the more lies you believe in. So I think when you believe in one lie, it makes you susceptible to believe in more lies. And for me, religion is like the fundamental big lie. I mean, it's a huge lie, honest to God. I, it's beyond, I was watching something on biblical studies and they went over the history again. And I forgot I knew all that stuff, right? I go, my God, there's people that think this is real. It's madness, it's insanity. And they believe it. Now, because they believe it, there's a cognitive dissonance. How can you believe these fantasy stories of magic beings and yet they do? So now when some other bullshit comes along, how can they discern it? They already believe in fantasy world. Um, so more fantasy, good. They can't distinguish it anymore. I don't think they can distinguish truth from reality anymore, which makes them psychotic. And we talked about this before. We are in the age of mass psychosis. And because you brought up the subject, what are the basic ingredients of mass psychosis? Apathy, ignorance, fear.
Yeah, yeah. But in this particular case, the reaction that I got was um, the two of us were accused of being in fear mode, of course.
Oh,
And
I
yeah.
know, I know, whatever. Okay, good luck with that. Did you fill up your gasoline in your car today? You did. What, are you afraid of running out?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Some things simply do not work without the other. Yeah.
time for me to indulge in another vice.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, darling.
What are you having?
Eine Bier.
Eine Bier.
Just last Sunday, I was telling the story that I was at the München Festival in 1973. I was
Mhm.
15 then, and how much I loved Hofbrauhaus and how beautiful Europe was back then. All the
Yeah,
Studenten and the Jurgenberg and the Euro Pass and thousands, tens of thousands of students traveling, no crime, no immigrants,
yeah,
no crime, no immigrants, no refugees. It was all European students, how we all got along and made friends from people all over Europe. It was beautiful then. And then we all went to Hofbrauhaus. Love that, And then we went to Dachau. Now I saw it how they presented it in 1973. This was all at the. I better not get into it because I had to delete the video because I start talking about that big event there, and I tell
mhm,
people all the lies I was told when I took the official tour of Dachau.
mm, mm.
Now they've cleaned it up a bit, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. But yeah, no. So Anna be a bit. I still remember that.
Why do you think it is so easy for people to fall for? Because I find that attitude delusional. That the conviction that if my frequency is just high enough, nothing will happen to me. I'm not saying that a higher frequency doesn't have any benefits. That is not what I'm saying here.
Exactly.
But how can anybody convince himself that, yeah, well, my frequency is high, therefore, um, no disaster can harm me. Where's that coming from?
Oh, I blame that book, The Secret. Do you
Ah,
remember
okay.
that book?
Hmm.
Somebody gave me a copy of The Secret, and I went through like 5 pages, and then I tore the book apart and I threw it against the wall. My God, what a bullshit! How dare they publish this crap? And it's a big bestseller. Um, my wife's hairdresser told my wife that this is when I was married back in California, Ventura, California. She says, "Oh, it's such a great book, and someday I'm going to live on an island with dolphins, and I'm going to be able to talk to the dolphins because I think about that every day. You know, it's psychosis. These
Hmm.
people have no grasp of reality. But again, if you take into account that they're probably all their personalities entirely false, false personality, constructed from lies. There's nothing there. They're an NPC, non-player character, right? They're part of the 80% of human population that does not have a soul, that does not have an internal dialogue. That so that they're empty, they're nothing, they're programmable, so they can be programmed this way, that way, and they're like, Disneyland, right? Animatronic, very lifelike. You know, they look like humans, they talk like humans, but actually they're not. There is no internal presence, no self-awareness, no ability to cognitively think. So that, they get this book and now they're programmed into the book, and I think that's true. How can they not know there is no solid spirit or animus that can make the difference between this and that? That's the only conclusion I can come to. Um, I'm probably wrong, but uh, that's the way I look at it. You need to have something internal, something that is not easily swayed. I don't know what you can call that. Character, a soul, self awareness. But if you don't have that, how can you tell the difference between all this crap? It's all the same. And there's nobody home. Who's going to make the decision? There's nobody home. And you've seen it yourself. We live in the land of zombies. Who could vote for Biden? Nobody home, right? Who could
So,
vote for Trump? Nobody home.
yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
just out of curiosity, did your ex-wife ever made it to the island with the dolphins?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she's there now, riding the back of the dolphins through the ocean.
Uh-huh.
The dolphins go and bring her lattes in the morning. Yeah, I don't know what. Look, Judith, since a very young age, I realized I was in an insane asylum inside a prison camp.
Mhm.
And growing up with that realization makes you a little bit loopy. You're always trying to hold it together. Okay, how crazy are they going to get today? And then another story comes out. Okay, well, how crazy are they going to get today? Oh, now all the little girls have to have their breasts amputated. Okay, it just never stops. All this madness. I try to make sense of it, and I try to fight it, Judith. I think, you and I, because we're born here now, and that's key phrase, here and now, and that's Zen, that's Gurdjieff. Because we're born here and now, I think we sort of have a purpose, and we're meant to fight on the side of reason and understanding and goodness and virtue. That's why I say I follow the Stoics. I follow Confucius. So I don't have a God. I don't have a religion. I only care about living a life of virtue. Now, if you don't know what virtue are, then you're one of the 80%. Because I've always known right from wrong. Always. Since I was a little kid. Oh, geez, should I stick this knife in the puppy? No, that would be wrong. How,
Yeah, sure.
did
Yeah.
did I need the church to come? Did I have to be dragged to church? To learn right from wrong? I didn't need any of that stuff. I always knew. So try to do what's right, live a life of virtue, be of some use to the world, leave the world a better place than you found it. And that's my religion. Anyways, now I'm preaching, eh?
Um, yeah, while we are on the topic of ignorance, I don't know if you have noticed, but here in Germany, something happened. Um, a little blog, it's called Multipolar. They made a FOIA request. They went to court, and the RKI here in Germany, that is something like the CDC, had to give over their corona files. A lot of it is still, blackened.
Mhm.
And now they are going back to court to get it unblackened. But what you can already see is that all the measures that have been taken were a political decision, not something that was based in so-called science. And now it is very, very interesting to see, the people that are trying to defend their ignorance, because
Yeah.
now it's very obvious they lied to you from day one. Even in 2020, the RKI itself, the inner circle that advised the government, they didn't want to have the lockdowns,
No.
but they did it anyway. And then the RKI had to sell it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course the media had to sell it, and they did a fantastic job.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but here the entire narrative is falling, and it's all official documents, and the narrative is falling apart. Yeah, and still there are the people, like, no, all of this was correct, and we had less death because of the measures, and and people defending their bullshit. My goodness, really interesting to see that. I mean, we are still in the early stages of this scandal. It has been going on for a week or two. But it is interesting already to see how many people want, to defend the nonsense.
Yeah. In preparing for this interview, I know you wanted to talk about these subjects. So I was, planning, what am I going to say? And what I was going to talk about is Yuri Bezmenov. Do you
Hmm.
know, right?
Yeah.
So for those listeners that don't know, Yuri Bezmenov was a Russian defector that gave an interview with G.W. Griffith, was it right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Back in like 1982 or something like that. It was a long time ago, right? Uh, 30, 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Jesus, 42 years ago. And Yuri Bezmenov was a KGB defector. And he explained what the Russians were really doing. He said, we didn't spend money on, tapping your phones or having spies steal secrets or anything like that. They spent money on a social engineering program, right, to spread communism. And he said it goes through certain stages. And the goal of this program, this social engineering program, is get a population to become, um, where is it? Demoralized.
Yeah.
Demoralized. So I think the demoralization helps to explain the apathy.
Mm-hmm.
But he also said once they become demoralized, there's no helping them. He says you can take them, bring them to Russia, show them the mass graves of all the people the communists had murdered, and they're still communists. They won't believe you. They won't. He says the only time they will believe you, maybe, is when you've got your foot up their butt and they're got a barrel of a gun at the back of their head. And just before you pull the trigger, then maybe they will think they were wrong after all, but not before that. And so that's what we have again with the demoralization, with the media campaign to sell the story of this. You gotta be careful what you say, Judith, because they already took down so many of my videos because they even mentioned this medical topic, you know. But they've been, you know, the media has done such an excellent job. I still remember the bastards, you know, everybody's up there on the TV, every talk show, every movie star, you know, every politician. Oh, look at me, I just got this. Oh, you got to get it. It's, you know, don't be selfish. And so, you know, that's part of the demoralization process. So everybody that bought into it, well, they bought into it. So like I said before, once they buy a lie, they buy all the lies because they can't tell the difference anymore, right? Could all be a lie. Could all be the truth. We see that now. There's no good. There's no evil. There's no right. There's no wrong. Yeah, okay, liberal. Okay, communist. Of course, there's a right and a wrong and a good and an evil, but they can't tell anymore. They're demoralized. The program that has been going on for the last 42 years, longer than that, because even Yuri said at that stage in 1982, he couldn't believe how indoctrinated the American public was. But you can say American public, Canadian public, Australian public, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Europe, everybody was part of this program for all this time. So it's not just Germany. You know, I feel bad what they've done to the Germans. Really, it's just terrible. They really, anyways, but it's everybody, right? So there is a power in the world that can carry out this social engineering program all over the world, all at the same time. All the politicians say the same words. You know, same thing with this medical emergency. Well, suddenly everybody has to stay 6 feet apart in Australia, New Zealand, and Austria and Frankreich and every. Did they all come up with this independently, 6 feet apart? Oh, then everybody has to go and get their injection, their prick. Did they all independently come up with this policy? The Australian government, their policy, their medical advisor, they all came up with it at the same time? No, it's all coordinated from a central source. It's so obvious. I don't know how people think that they live in like a democracy or an independent country. Your country is run by somebody that you've never heard of, okay? Because the proof is, and even you know they took some of the YouTubers took snippets of speeches that the politicians told, and they were exactly the same. It's the same speech. You know, the speech that Biden said was the same as the speech that Trudeau said was the same as the speech that Merkel. You know, I mean, they're even given the same speeches to read out for Christ's sakes. So all of that is controlled from a central source, and yeah, so the programming is so intense. And look, these people have studied it for hundreds of years, human psychology, how to manipulate humanity, how to, you know, play tricks on the mind. And so, yeah, they've been indoctrinated into this thought process, like Yuri Bezmenov said. and they're just demoralized. At this stage now, you can't help them. Nothing can be done. Like you said, you can take them, show them the mass graves. No, no. You can get a Freedom of Information Act, show them the government documents. See, they knew all along I was going to kill you all. No, it's you know, it's not going to help. It's not going to help.
So, meaning once you are demoralized, then you are basically without any will or resistance?
That's correct. Yeah, you have no will. You know, Gurdjieff was very specific about what will was. And he said most people don't have it. Will is something that you aspire to develop in yourself. And you aspire that through intentional suffering, meaning you do things you don't want to do because the benefits exceed the suffering that you go through. And this creates friction. And friction creates heat. Heat is like an energy, and this energy goes to build your soul. You know, that's why we're here, Judith. You know, we're given a chance. And in our short and meager life spans, we need to do something very amazing. And that is, we need to become immortals. We need to develop a soul. And that soul will survive death to the best of my ability to realize all this stuff. You got to understand. I'm melding hundreds of different philosophies together when I speak of this. But it's something like that. It's something like that. We all get an understanding. You talk to people. Why are you here on this planet? Well, we got to learn. Well, yeah, sure, okay, learn. But part of that learning, while you are learning, you are developing a soul. That's what I think.
So in
So
other words, we have a soul, but it needs to be trained like a muscle.
exactly. And if you don't train it, it will die. Right. So when I see children, and I love kids, and Phoebe, can you get off? Come on, come on.
I'm so happy that I'm not the only one where the cats pop
Yeah.
up.
Oh, I got to lock them out of the room, you know. Okay, good girl. So where were we? Yeah, I love children, you know. I'm the adopted grandpa to a bunch of kids here in town, right? Uh, the mothers love me, the kids love me. You know, I'm your grandpa. I always have a chocolate in my bag. I always have a little magic trick, or I always make up these funny handshakes, you know, for the kids. I love to be a grandpa to the kids. And when I see kids like that, they are so beautiful. They're innocent. They're not scheming to take advantage of your bank account. You know, they experience the world directly. They're happy. They're amazed. I watch them run around because this is a window here. And I sit here all day long. I look out the window and they're running in the fields and laughing and screaming. They're beautiful. You see, they have the spark of a soul. And so long as you feed it with good music and art and outdoor and nature and knowledge and love, and that soul will grow up to be a decent human being, and a human being that's of some value to this world. And I think that they will survive death. But what too often happens, and it's tragic, is those little children are starved, they're abused, they're neglected. Then they send them to public school. What do you think public school is there to do? To nourish their souls? No, public school is there to suck the life out of them. And by the time they go through public school and high school and college, can these people do anything? Nothing. They've learned nothing in all that time. And by the time they come out of college, they're completely demoralized. So what happened?
Plus in debt up to the eyeballs.
Yeah, plus in debt up to the eyeballs. Unbelievable. I used to pay $1,200 per semester when I went to college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that is doable.
That's doable. Yeah, everybody that in those days we all had a summer job, cutting grass or picking tobacco or working on a farm or working in a factory. We had a summer job, and then that paid for your whole year, paid for your tuition, it paid for your rent. Um, but of course, that those days are long gone. But so that's what I think. So I can see the soul, the spark of what is creativity and life in children. Most of them anyway. Some of them are a little bit damaged already. Who knows what happened in vitro? Maybe the mother was on drugs or something happened. But the vast majority of children are just lovely, angelic creatures. And but what happens? What turns them into these people that want to send you nasty emails?
Yeah. Yeah, plus a lot of little children, unfortunately, get parked in front of an electronic device.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and parents don't really have the nerve, or they tell themselves they don't have the time, so they get their iPad, and then, the parents have their peace, but the child actually is zombified.
yeah. Oh, it's horrific. Oh, I do not own a cell phone or a smartphone.
Mm.
Never had one. Not going to get one. I don't care because I know what it is. I know what
Yeah.
it is, and I don't need one. I remember I was sitting outside by the lake. This was a couple of years ago. It was a full moon summer day, summer night, warm and breezy and beautiful. The trees, the moon, the lake, and I see three figures, four figures walking down the path, and all their faces are illuminated in blue color, this blue light. What the hell is that? I thought. Well, it was daddy, mommy, like a 7-year-old kid, and a baby in a stroller. And every one of them had a smartphone up to their face. Smartphone. Mom, dad, the 7-year-old, and even the little baby in the stroller had this thing in front of their face. That is horrific. That is like a science fiction nightmare. There you are. It's a beautiful summer night. There's the moon, there's the stars, there's the lake, the trees, the grass. And you got to look at this goddamn, oh, I'm going to start swearing now. MF piece of crap that is sucking the soul right out of you, your kid, and your little baby, too. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Why do they even go out into nature? I mean, can't you put that thing down for a couple of minutes?
No, no, no. Well, it's an addiction, of course.
Mm.
Yeah. But the difference between that and crack, you only have to smoke every couple of hours. This thing's got to be on there 24/7. Did you see those videos of little babies or children in their sleep and they're scrolling through an imagine because they've been playing it on even when they go to sleep at night, they're dreaming about scrolling through and swiping. No, it's an evil device. Dude, these things are evil. Stay away from them. Don't let your kids play with them. Do not give your kid a smartphone. Whatever you do, people think, oh, parents think, well, if there was any trouble, they can call me. Well, then get them a burner phone. But the smartphone, do not, under any circumstances, allow your children to have one.
Mm. So then another species, let's say, that is among us is that are those people. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know it. Everything is horrible. Nothing will get better anymore. I just do my job. I pay my rent, and I don't want to see and hear anything. Yeah, okay, that is one way to go. But in the end, it doesn't really help.
Yeah. Well, that's where the third point you brought up in the email, and that is fear. Those
Yeah.
people are cowards. You have to understand they're cowards. Um, and cowardice is a deadly sin. It really is. I think it was Aristotle or Socrates. It's hard to keep them apart. Probably Aristotle, who wrote, "Courage is the first virtue that makes all other virtues possible." Right? And I believe that 100%. Nietzsche, if I'm pronouncing it, Nietzsche,
Nietzsche.
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 One of my favorite quotes, I've got it on my website, and that is, "Wisdom is a woman who loves only a warrior." Right? So you can't be a good person if you're not courageous. You just can't, because courage enables you to push past the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of not succeeding, and the fear of looking silly, the fear of being taken advantage of, all those fears which you will encounter if you try to be a decent person in this world. I often tell the story. I got this email from a guy in Scotland because, my martial arts and everything. And he said, "Well, every day I bench press 300 pounds, and, I train 4 hours a day. And then on the weekends, I go into town and I go to the nastiest bar around and I pick fights. And get, how would you rate me as a warrior?" So I wrote back, I said, "Oh, very impressive. Now go out and do a good deed.
Mhm.
Then tell me, when you survive the entire world turning against you and howling for your blood because you did a good deed and you survived that, okay, then write me back. Then I'll tell you how much of a warrior you are. Because if you're going to do good in this world, man, they are coming after you. They are coming after you. There's a lot of evil people. And if you're a good person, they sense it. They know it. Now, they might pretend to be nice, they might pretend to be your friend and all that, but the fact of the matter is they hate your guts, and they want to destroy you. So, yeah, be a good person, okay? Be a good person, but understand that there's going to be a lot of people that hate you and will do everything they can to destroy you. That's why I told them, go out and do a good deed. Then tell me what a big warrior you are, dominating people and inflicting violence. And okay, that's not what makes you a warrior. So all these people that sit there and go, "Oh, I know, I've run into them hundreds of times too, Judith. I don't want to know. I don't care. So what? If it happens, it happens. Well, then we're all going to die. We're all going to die." Oh, for Christ's sakes, is that somebody you want to spend the last days of your life with? We're all going to die. We're all going to die. So who cares? But that's fear. That's fear and cowardice. So that's why I try to encourage people. It's too late for most people. Forget it. It's done. You can't do anything. But what I try to do is encourage parents to teach their children how to be brave. And the young men. I often mentor young men in their 20s and early mid 20s, because like myself, they didn't have a male role model in their lives. Right? And when I was young, I said, "Well, screw those people. I will become my own role model. And that's why you see the brilliant and gifted specimen of humanity that's sitting here right now. And so I try to mentor them. I try to encourage them. And but what I do is I give them exercises to make them braver. It's actually not very difficult to develop courage. It's it's like a training pro. I could lay it out, and I should teach a course in this. I really should. But it's setting small, attainable goals, right? So this is what they call systemic desensitization in psychology. For example, and it's the surest way to get over phobias. For example, if you're afraid of heights, then what a psychologist would do is sit you down in a chair and say, okay, close your eyes, relax. Now imagine you're climbing up a ladder. Now, as soon as you feel nervous, you signal with your hand, and then we take a deep breath and relax, and we do the muscle relaxation. And so you visualize going through this. Next stage, okay, here's a ladder. I want you to take one step up the rung of the ladder. And if you feel nervous, then let me know. We're going to take deep breaths and we're going to calm down. And so what happens is you take it stage by stage until finally they're able to climb the top of the ladder. But at each stage, you are developing a little bit more courage, a little bit more courage. And eventually that adds up until you get to the point where you're no longer afraid of heights. So it's this, I apply that same therapy to life in general. The more often you can take chances, but little chances, like, I mean, don't overdo it. Don't strap $100 bills to your body and then go walk down a bad neighborhood at night. But little challenges at a time. Okay, can you bicycle to this location and back in an hour? But I can't tell you where the location is. You have to discover it for yourself. So you might get lost. So it's a little risk. And you take a bunch of little risks at a time, but they're doable. It's not going to kill you. Nothing will go wrong. Maybe it'll cost you a couple of hours of your time, but now you take enough of these small risks and you overcome them. They're challenges, but take it a little bit at a time, baby steps, right? And eventually you get tougher and tougher and tougher, when I'm teaching kids, when I used to teach them how to canoe, well, okay, this is how you get in the canoe. This is how you walk up and down the canoe, right? Special technique for all of that. So, okay, let's see if you can do that. Okay, can you do that? Okay, come back. Let's do it again. All right, this is how you paddle the canoe. Now, I do that for a day, maybe 2 days before I take them into the woods, right? So they already have the courage to get in and out. They know how to paddle. They're not afraid anymore. Now we go right away into the woods, or now we go into the woods. But you don't start off like that. You don't say, here's the canoe, there's the lake, go. It's too much of a risk, too much of a chance. So anyways, yeah, it's courage. Try to encourage your children to become braver. We have a problem with parents, what they call the bubble wrap kids, right? Or the helicopter parents. They're always, looking over their children, make sure they don't, nothing bad ever happens to them. Well, you have to expose them to a little bit of risk. You do. And if they get hurt and they got a scraped knee or maybe they broke an arm or something like that, well, good. They've survived that. And now they'll be braver after that. So it's not that difficult. But for most adults, if you've reached the age of, say, 25 and you don't have any courage, probably too late to teach you. Ow. Probably too late to develop it now. It's something that's why I'm always in favor of, outward bound programs. There in Germany, you have your forest schools, which I love. I love the forest schools. Those are things that will train young kids. And then if they're not cowards, then they won't be sitting there in the corner. Oh, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. And besides, and the other thing I'm always promoting: be a warrior in the glorious traditional sense of the word. Is a warrior going to hide there? Oh, just kill me. It's all over. No warrior's going to say, okay, things look bad. Good
Yeah.
chance I'm going to die, but I'm not going to die on my knees. I'm going to die standing up and pushing back and fighting against it. And if it kills me, then at least I go to Valhalla.
Yeah. And what I also noticed is a lack of empathy, be it that, let's say, somebody is being severely beaten up by somebody else. 10 people are standing around, and instead of intervening, they take a video.
Yeah.
Um, or something similar happened to me many years ago in Kenya. I was with Jack downtown Mombasa, and I recognized I saw that a guy was stumbling out of a building and then he collapsed there. But we were just, still a little bit away. And then when we arrived there, a crowd of people was standing there, but everybody was just staring. And then I pushed the crowd away, made my way through it, and I checked his vital signs. I instructed Jack to go get me water, and his vital signs were okay, but he was not really lucid. And
Right.
then Jack came back with water. I gave him something to drink, and Jack washed his face and over his head. And then slowly, slowly, he came back, and you could talk to him. And then there was one lady in the crowd who said, "He is my neighbor." I said, "Okay, so if you know where he lives, I will give you the money and we get a tuk-tuk. I will give you the money. Can you take him home? Can you do that?" And she says, "Yes, yes, I will do that." And yeah, so finally we got him into the tuk-tuk. The lady, his neighbor, went with him, and I paid the tuk-tuk driver. And then we went to the bar of Castle Hotel because we wanted to have some lunch. And then shortly before we crossed the street, um, somebody tapped on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there was a little Muslim lady standing there. And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you that you did that." And I said, "Yeah, okay, no problem." And, and then I said to Jack, "Is, do you think she's a relative?" And he said, "No, honey, she's not a relative. It's just that it is not normal. Our people don't do that." And the neighbor will probably tell him later on, um, a white lady and a Rasta guy, because Jack was still having his Rastas. A white lady and a Rasta guy saved your ass. So yeah, but I actually, it is nothing special what I did. Yeah, but
No,
nobody
it's nothing
else would
special
do
for
it.
you. It's
Yeah.
nothing special for me. And quite frankly, it shouldn't be nothing special for our people. The Chinese are like that.
Mm.
That, somebody would collapse in the middle of the street. Dozens and dozens of people walk past them. Nobody will stop. Now, I used to teach for St. John Ambulance first aid, and we call that the bystander effect, where if you have a lot of people standing around and something goes down like that, somebody collapses from a medical emergency, or even if there's like a fight, there's 10 guys beating up a girl, and everybody's standing around watching, taking the video. And they call that the bystander effect. Now, when I taught the students in St. John, we were taught that if you see a medical emergency like that, you should be the first one there, okay? And tell everybody, I know first aid. I'm going to take a look at him. You call an ambulance, and anyways. But no, more and more people are like that now. Like the Chinese are notorious for that, and even in our own culture now, it's starting to creep in. It's the narcissism. It's the you know the it's how we've been trained. It's the demoralization again. There's nobody home. They're just these empty shells, and unless they've been programmed somehow to do something like that, and they don't teach you that in school. You could spend 18 years in school, you never get a teacher once saying, well, if you see somebody collapse, go over and help them. And they don't teach that in the churches. Do they? Do they teach that in churches? I don't see it. If somebody collapses on the street, thou shalt go and lend aid. I never hear that. Right.
Mm. Yeah, the excuse was in that particular case there in Mombasa, yeah, he's drunk, even if that
Yeah.
is no reason to let him just rot in the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know. Maybe he got roofied or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't have the full story in that situation. So I don't see that as an excuse
No,
to
me
just
neither.
walk by.
We used to teach that if you find somebody that's passed out drunk,
Yeah,
at least put them in the recovery position,
yeah.
right? I had a girl I went to middle school with. She died when she was 16. She got so drunk, she passed out on the couch on her back, and then she
Oh, yeah.
threw up and choked on her vomit. What? Wow. So even if you find somebody that, oh, he's passed out, he deserves it, whatever. Well, what, he deserves to die because he drank too much? At least take a look at him and at least roll him onto his stomach, get him out of the direct sunlight,
Yeah.
right? Get him out of traffic. Um, that's the least you should do, right? Anyways, I don't know.
Mm.
You did the right thing, Judith. I commend you.
Yeah, thank you. As I said, I was just shocked because so many people were standing around and nobody intervened. Nobody did anything. They were just,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
NPCs. There's
yeah,
there's nothing there. Anyways, this
yeah.
is the situation we live in. We're in zombie land.
Yeah. It happened to me once, even with the police. I was in a car. I was not driving the car myself, but I was sitting in the back, and I saw somebody. We were passing by, and I saw somebody lying in the bushes. So when I came home, I immediately I called the police, and I said, "There is a helpless person. You really should check." And guess what? Even the police said to me, "Yeah, probably drunk."
Yeah. Well,
And I
this
said, "Yeah,
is
we don't know. We don't know that. Maybe you can still check on him."
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we no longer live in a high trust society. We live in a very low trust society. A lot of that is due to the programming, the demoralization. It's all part of the plan, right? Make you stupid, make you selfish, and make you fearful, because that way you're easier to control and dominate. right? And that's the unfortunate fact of where we are today. But I'm not going to sit in the corner and go, oh, the whole world is horrible. We're all going to die. No, screw these people. I'm still going to be who I am. And I'm going to do what I can to make the world a better place because I'm a warrior and I follow the Stoic code of live a life of virtue. And if I'm wrong and, I die and Satan sits there, oh, you got suckered into being a good person. You should have sold out. You would have been a rock star. you know, well, then I was wrong. Should have sold your soul to me. I would have made you a pop star. Yeah. No, no, I'm still going to be who I am. And those of your followers, same thing for you guys. Stick to who you are. You're good people. You wouldn't be listening to Judith, for Christ's sakes, if you weren't good people. Evil people do not tune into Judith.
Yeah, or if they do, then probably only once or twice, and then they have had it.
Yeah, and then they go, oh, well, Judith doesn't believe in, okay, whatever. But
ABC.
so the same thing, I'm always trying to encourage people, look, just be who you are. Yeah, we're up against insurmountable odds. The whole world is against you. It literally is. We've got, I've already demonstrated that the entire world is controlled from a central source, after the pandemic and everything that's going on now. Um, it's all controlled by a central source. And that central source, quite frankly, is evil, right? It really is. Um, allow me to program the world and everybody be outside planting gardens, you know. But they programmed the world, and now everybody's a selfish, narcissistic, greedy, insane lunatic. So they're not good people that's controlling the world, but we're up against that insurmountable force. It's a good battle. It's a battle. It's a hill worth dying on. If I'm going to die, at least I want to die knowing that I fought these people to the very end. Do what you can, be a good person, help your neighbors, teach children, mentor them. That's why I get involved with the kids. I teach them all kinds of things, but subtly, right? I'm not, uh, encourage, virtue around you. Make the world a better place. There's no city I've lived in that does not have one of my artworks in a public space. Everywhere I've gone, I will apply for a public art grant, and because I want to leave a little bit of beauty behind. I lived here. Now look, there's a little bit of beauty.
Hmm.
I'm not a great artist, but anyways, um, this is what we should all be doing, right? This is the way to overcome the apathy and the ignorance and the fear is to fight this. It's a good battle. It's a noble death that you go through life and still you're helping children, you're helping parents, you're volunteering at the food bank, you're taking you're leaving behind a little bit of art. The other thing that I like to do is go into a walking trail, and I get one of those little bird houses. And I paint it up all bright colors, stick it on one of the trees. So whoever's walking down that trail, suddenly there's this brightly colored, pretty little bird feeder there. Just make the world a better place, however you can. Oh, and music too, right?
Yeah.
Often I sit on the balcony and I play my harmonica and guitar because I got the harmonica holder. And I can play guitar and play harmonica at the same time, which I learned when I was in Europe back in 1973. And yeah, all the neighbors hear me and they don't mind at all. Nobody's ever complained. So, because it's kind of nice to hear an acoustic guitar and harmonica. late at night in the distance on a warm summer evening. Whatever you can do, folks, we've got to fight the apathy. Yeah. Well, the apathy is demoralization. We know that. And once they've gone to that point, you can't help them. But for those of us that aren't at that point yet, remember, just keep feeding your soul. Now I'm preaching again. Oh my God. Give me a drink.
I think you had the perfect final words. And I guess we will leave it at that. I'm pretty sure people get the gist.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it. Night flight for today. Until next time, stay safe and sound.